Good evening, board members, parents, students, and guests. Today is school day 10 of the 21-22 school year. I want to start this evening by saying thank you to all of you who have helped us to make a safe transition back to in-person learning. Thank you for joining us tonight for our first virtual town hall. Tonight's meeting is one of a series of updates and communication methods to share good information. We are pleased to continue our partnership with Mr. Bruce Robusto and the Health Department. We are also excited to announce new partnerships with the ABC Science Collaborative and Mako Medical. Mrs. Deborah will share more information about these partnerships a little later on. We will continue to follow the guidance found in the Strong Schools NC Public Health Toolkit and our local health department. Our at-risk populations are being served through alternative learning environments to address our students' academic needs while not participating in in-person learning. We will alter how we operate school, including remote learning, based on the recommendations of the toolkit and/or the local health department. At this time, I would like to welcome our two board members that we have present with us tonight, Ms. Tiffany Hale and Ms. Kimberly Robertson, and ask if either of the two of them would like to have any greetings.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. Go ahead on, Ms.
I yield to you.
Robinson.
I yield to you, Ms. Hale. Well, okay.
Good evening, everyone, and I would like to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon to participate in our first town hall meeting. I hope that your questions will be answered. If you had any questions, going back to school year, district committed to provide students to be in school this year. And I thank you all for joining.
Good evening to our students, parents, employees, and community members. I'd like to thank those who prepared this virtual town hall for Weldon City Schools, and we look forward to finding out more information tonight about what is going on in our school system and regarding COVID-19 and the Delta variant. We want to let you know that we want our students to be safe at all times, and that is our first goal, to keep them safe. Thank you for attending this evening, and I hope all of your questions are answered. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Now we'll turn the town hall meeting over to Ms. Cynthia Deborah, our Executive Director of Administrative Services.
Good evening, you all. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And it is with my esteemed honor that I am serving as the facilitator tonight. Prior to answering the questions, I do want to just give you an overview of the progress in which Weldon City Schools has made during this time as we try to address the needs of our students, families, and communities. Our school board last week approved our school health plan, which includes services regarding mask wearing, also isolation, quarantine, testing, and also the instructional practices in which we will be implemented within our schools. Our schools are reinforcing the safety protocols from CDC as well as from NCDHHS. We are emphasizing that everyone participate in wearing masks within our school buildings once you're inside or any building that is owned by Weldon City Schools. In addition, we're asking that you observe physical distancing guidelines of at least 3 feet and also practice hand hygiene and sanitizing regularly. Our district will also promote safety habits within our field.
including the Let's Talk About It campaign, which we post videos on our website and social media. In addition, the school health plans are addressed at staff meetings to ensure that our staff is always on point with regards to health and safety. Frequent building monitoring will be conducted by our principals and our student health team, as well as our bus drivers are equipped with masks to give to our students prior to them coming to the school each day. And our buses are also being sanitized. We are promoting safety habits within our community with events such as this, our virtual town hall meeting, and also our school nurses were at open house to greet parents and to speak about prevention measures, as well as they are available each day. All fall sports, volleyball, football, and cheerleading, they are practicing using prevention protocols. And student athletes are screened daily with temperature checks via electronic scanning or handheld devices. So you see, Weldon City Schools has already begun the work of stopping the spread of COVID, but there is still more to do. In our school health plan, we covered face coverings, also physical distancing, also how to handle suspected or confirmed cases, also addressing symptoms and hygiene, alternative learning arrangement, transportation, water, and ventilation. As a means to improve based on the data, Weldon City Schools Board approved that we can be a part of the ABC Science Collaborative. This collaborative pairs with scientists and physicians with schools and community leaders to help them understand the most current and relevant data about COVID-19. So we realize that we are not in this alone, that it takes a village to address this issue. And so we will do the things that are best for our district. And lastly, Weldon City Schools has also approved that we participate in the North Carolina Division of Health and Human Services program, the K-12 COVID-19 testing program. DHHS awarded Weldon City Schools $200,000 to create a screening and or diagnostic testing program to be implemented for our students and staff. We are connected with the vendor Mako, and we are making plans to offer this service to our students and to our community. So with that being said, that's just a snippet of where we're going as we continue to address the needs of our community, our students, our families, our staff. So at this time, I would like to introduce the panelists. We're going to begin with our principals, and I will ask that they share their name, their school, and any remarks that they would like to make. And as usual, we will start with our youngest group with their principal.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tequila Jones. I'm principal of Weldon Elementary Global Academy. We are excited to have students back in the building. We continue to practice the 3 W's of washing our hands throughout the day. Everyone is wearing a mask and waiting 3 feet apart when possible. Thank you to everyone, my family members, parents, guardians, and my staff for working hard to ensure that all students are following these protocols.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jones. Next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Robertson, principal of Weldon City Middle School. And we at Weldon City Middle School are using strategies daily and intentionally to ensure all of our students and staff are safe or in a safe learning environment. We practice the use of the 3 W's along with the sanitization practices and daily cleanings. We also inform parents weekly and as needed concerning any updates related to the school safety. Thank you for your support as we continue to do what is best for all of our kids in Weldon City Middle School, because kids.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robertson. And next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the new principal of Weldon City High School, Wayne Waters. I'd like to share with both my principal partners, not to repeat the same thing. So we all are trying our best to keep our students safe and well out of the way of this COVID virus.
Thank you so much, Mr. Waters. Mr. Eric Pullen, the principal of Long Valley Early College, he's unable to be with us. However, he also shares our sentiments in trying to do what's right for our students, our staff, and our families. Next, we would like to acknowledge and recognize our school nurses who are not with us today. However, we have Nurse Wendy Madison and Nurse Shimon T. They were also instrumental in developing this health plan, as well as to get answers to the questions. Next, we will look at district support, and we will have our district support team introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christy Martin, and I work with AIG, BT, and Curriculum and Instruction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robin Davis, and I'm the CTE specialist for Weldon City Schools.
Good evening, everyone. This is Terry Alston, your parent liaison with Weldon City Schools.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ms. Dagnallen, and I serve as the EC Director of Student Services, as well as pre-K coordinator for Weldon City Schools.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to, our district support team, thank you so much for volunteering your time, talents, and I will ask that you all be prepared to answer the questions for our nurses today. Thank you so much. All right, so now let's move forward with our questioning period. We're going to begin with instructional practices. Instructional practices. And so the first question, for those of you who are viewing, the format in which this will go, I will read the question that we have received, and an identified individual will answer the question. All right, beginning with Dr. Robertson. What happens if my child has to quarantine or isolate and be out of school? Dr. Robertson?
So if your child must quarantine or isolate, the school staff will work with families and healthcare providers to determine the workload and when the child can safely return to school.
Thank you so much. But Dr. Robertson, will my child be able to make up missed assignments, quizzes, or tests while he or she is out of school?
Yes, your child will be allowed to make up all assignments and assessments. All work must be complete within 2 weeks of the student's return to school, unless an exception has been granted by the principal.
Thank you so much. How will my child access instructional materials and assignments while he or she is out of school? Mr. Waddy?
Depending on the grade level and course, students may either receive paper packets or digital access to what is covered while out of school. Teachers will work with students and the families to provide reasonable access to materials. Students will receive access to this schoolwork within 2 days after the initial quarantine or isolation period.
Thank you so much. What if my child is not feeling well while they are in quarantine or isolation? Mr. Waddy?
If students are not feeling well enough to work, they can complete it once their symptoms have improved.
That's good to know. So, Ms. Jones, will my child's absence be excused if they have to quarantine or isolate?
If a note from the parent or healthcare provider is sent to the school, then the absence will be excused.
Well, will my child receive ESL, English as a second language, AIG, academically or intellectually gifted, or EC, exceptional children's services, while they are in quarantine or isolation?
So quarantine and isolation is considered an absence. Therefore, ESL services will not be provided, neither will AIG or EC. Students will resume that instruction upon return to school, and your child will be allowed to make up assignments and assessments within the time period set by the school.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to continue to move forward. And Mr. Waddy, I'm returning to you. Will my child be able to participate in athletics or other extracurricular activities while they're in quarantine or isolation?
No. Students may only return to these activities once their quarantine or isolation period is complete.
Thank you so much. We want all of our students to stay safe. And Mr. Wilder, how are you modifying student or staff mobility during the school day?
Just as we projected earlier, students and staff are maintaining 3 feet in the hallways. The students and staff are being reminded of necessity to stay separate throughout the day while wearing masks. Teachers are monitoring and escorting students to different areas of the building.
Thank you so much. So we are continuing to practice the 3 W's. Wear your mask, wait 6 feet, wash your hands, and sanitize regularly. So now we're going to move to our next topic, symptoms and quarantine and isolation. And these questions were proposed to our nurses as well as our district support team. So, but thank goodness, Nurse Cheek came in. And so we have breathed a sigh of relief for some people in this room. So Nurse Cheek, should symptom screening be done at school or at home?
At this time, families are encouraged to screen their children at home prior to coming to school. And the schools also perform screening for all staff and students upon entering the building.
But if you are symptom screening at the school site, what equipment are they using?
Currently, the district is using electric and handheld temperature devices for monitoring at each WCS building.
Well, what about personal protective equipment? What are the requirements and recommendations do we have?
We currently have masks available for students, staff, and visitors. We are using the hand sanitizer stations throughout the building, in the classroom, and on the buses as well. Staff have gloves and protective gowns available if they need it.
And is this at every school?
Yes.
And every building?
Yes.
Thank you so much. What isolation protocols are in place at our schools?
Right now, each school has identified an area or room that they have for the isolation rooms to meet the needs of the students and the staff.
So if we have an event of a confirmed case of someone at the school, do you all report to the local health department?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad to know that. So let me give you a break and let me call on Ms. Austin to answer the next question while you take a breather. Ms. Austin, what cleaning protocols do we have already in our schools?
Well, Ms. Deborah and families, our teachers will clean surfaces once a day, prioritizing high-touch surfaces. The custodial staff will walk through twice a day, including the end of each day, and complete a sanitizing spray.
Okay, that sounds awesome. But Nurse Chief, I have to come back to you. Is the district performing contact tracing?
The district is currently performing contact tracing. Each nurse is completing contact tracing for all our positive cases identified in our district and keeping a spreadsheet of that.
And what data or metrics do we use to make decisions as we move through this year?
Is that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Our county currently has been aggressive and transparently providing data, and we have aligned to the key metrics outlined in the Halifax County COVID-19 dashboard.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And as a result, the Halifax County Health Department shares their data with the leaders of our school system every week. And so we get an update on the number of cases that we have, as well as the vaccines and other information from our health department. So we have established a relationship with our local health department. Mr. Bruce Robestow, the director of the health department, he meets with us and talks with us regularly. We receive those updates, and also he visits our school board meetings to give updates each month. So the partnership with our health department is strong as we are trying to address the needs of our communities. So moving on, and we only have a few questions left. So if you should have questions later or now, feel free, if you're on a call, to type in, and we have Thomas over there monitoring to see if we have any that are coming in. So back to Nurse Chief. What are are the safety expectations for visitors and volunteers in our school system?
Visitors and volunteers are held to the same standard and safety protocols as our students and staff.
Yes. And Ms. Davis, what do we do about internships, cooperative programming, and other work-based learning that we place our students in as part of our school to work efforts?
Students will still be able to participate if eligible.
Thank you. And so, Mr. Wyden, how are extracurricular offerings being delivered?
These events are arranged through parks and recreation for the elementary school. The middle and high school offerings are delivered with safety protocols in place.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Jones, will the schools have assemblies?
No, the schools will not host whole group programs and assemblies at this time.
Thank you so much. You all are so knowledgeable of what's going on in Weldon City Schools. I just really appreciate it. Thomas, are there any questions? No questions from our audience? If you all should have questions once you view this, please don't hesitate to reach out to Cynthia DeBro, Executive Director of Administrative Services, or Andrea Dagnallen, Director of Student Services. And also, you can always reach out to our superintendent, Dr. Michael Myrick, for any questions you may have. So at this time, thank you all so much for participating and answering questions, and I turn it back over to Dr. Myrick.
Thank you, Ms. Devereaux, and thank you, team, for providing those responses to those questions this evening. Again, our at-risk populations are being served through alternative learning environments to address our students' academic needs while not participating in in-person learning. We will alter how we operate school, including remote learning, based on the recommendations of the toolkit and/or our local health department. I also want to remind everyone that if your child is sick or otherwise not feeling well, please keep them at home. We want to make sure that we keep your child safe as well as everyone else's child. I want to thank our panelists for sharing their time and talents with us tonight. And again, thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to learn more about what we are doing to keep our students safe. I also want to again acknowledge our board members who are present tonight with us, Ms. Kimberly Robinson and Ms. Tiffany Hale. Thank you for being supportive of the students of Weldon City Schools. And Weldon City Schools is committed to leading, teaching, and learning with high expectations every day. Have a great evening, everyone.